Narration transcript. Cultivating dispositions for equitable and effective teaching. Slide 1. Title slide. Welcome to this presentation on cultivating dispositions for equitable and effective teaching. My name is Antoine L. Mason, and this work is part of my coursework for CT-7100 at National University. Let's explore how teacher dispositions shape learning. Slide 2. Introduction to dispositions. Dispositions are the values and professional ethics that guide how we interact with students, families, colleagues, and our school communities. They go beyond skills, they shape how we teach, how we lead, and how we support student success. In short, they're the heart of effective teaching. Slide 3. Dispositions in teaching and learning. In our classrooms, dispositions like empathy, patience, and reflection determine whether we build trust or create distance. Beverly Daniel Tatum reminds us that intentional beliefs rooted in equity are essential. When our mindset is aligned with justice, we open doors for all learners. Slide 4. Growth mindset in educators. To support all learners, educators need a growth mindset. That starts with reflective journaling, asking ourselves what we believe about student potential. And it continues with professional learning grounded in UDL and CRT, like the work of Latz and Billings and the CAST guidelines. Slide 5. SEL dispositions in educators. Social emotional learning isn't just for students. Teachers can model it by practicing mindfulness, managing stress, and using restorative circles. These habits build trust, create safety, and help us teach with compassion. Slide 6. Developing student growth mindset. Our students need to know that mistakes are okay. We help them build resilience by normalizing struggle and affirming their identities. As Carol Dweck and Monique Morris show us, how we speak to students affects how they see themselves. Slide 7. Developing student SEL dispositions. Students must learn to recognize and regulate their emotions. We can support this by using activities aligned with CASEL's SEL competencies. These skills lead to better focus, stronger relationships, and improved academic performance. Slide 8. Collaborative dispositions in students, Part 1. Students don't automatically know how to collaborate. We build these skills by teaching them how to give peer feedback in structured ways. This nurtures empathy and communication. Slide 9. Collaborative dispositions in students, Part 2. Another strategy is using group problem-solving routines. These help students develop teamwork and persistence while building academic confidence. Slide 10. Technology dispositions in teaching. Our mindset toward technology matters. Being open and curious helps us grow. Fear and resistance can block us and our students. One way to shift this is by implementing peer-led tech mentoring. As Tim Wise suggests, equity and access must be intentional. Slide 11. Inclusive dispositions in practice, Part 1. Inclusivity begins with representation. At Foundation Preparatory Academy, where I'll be working, our values, focus, integrity, respect, self-determination, and teamwork require culturally responsive texts and diverse materials that affirm all identities. Slide 12. Inclusive dispositions in practice, Part 2. Inclusion also means adapting how we assess. Using UDL, we allow multiple ways for students to show what they know. For nonverbal students, AAC tools like PECs are vital. For blind students, tactile resources and rich verbal descriptions help make content accessible. Slide 13. Collaborative dispositions beyond classroom. Educators must also collaborate with caregivers and colleagues. Hosting co-planning nights with families and building professional learning communities ensures we support students holistically, especially those with exceptional needs. Slide 14. Conclusion and reflection. Dispositions shape every part of our practice, from how we speak to how we plan. Growth, both in ourselves and our students, doesn't happen by accident. It's cultivated through care, consistency, and community. Slide 15. References. This work draws on key scholars like Tatum, Morris, D'Angelo, Dweck, Wise, and others who advocate for equity, UDL, SEL, and culturally responsive teaching.
Okay, so because that's pretty much my presentation, but because it has to be 8 minutes, I'm gonna go back and talk some more about some of this stuff, particularly this one, technology dispositions in teaching. Positive. Typically, students with exceptionalities, they lack positive reinforcement, and it's our job as educators to give them that positive reinforcement, as was said in the read aloud. I did a read aloud as a precursor to students getting a read aloud. Innovation. That's where like UDL comes in at. Like you have to be both intuitive and innovative when you're dealing with students with exceptionalities. That's pretty much my foundational response to this presentation. And then you have to guard against negativity, be it coming from you or the student, and even sometimes leadership. So you gotta guard against the negativity. You might be having a bad day, but you gotta rise to the occasion and fight against that negative energy, that negative spirit. Resistance. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of opposition, a lot of resistance to whatever it is you're trying to do. But if you keep the kids at the forefront of all that, you won't have to worry about anything. And people fear change. A lot of schools I've gone to, they fear change. They don't want to see innovative change. They don't want to see that. They want to have this cookie cutter idea for how to educate a student, be they a student with exceptionalities or a regular gen ed student. They don't want to change. They want to keep doing the same thing, but they don't get a different result by doing the same thing. And the strategy is peer-led tech and mentoring. That's why I glean from Tim Wise. A lot of his books. I cited one book in here, but I read a lot of his books. And although he talks pretty much as an anti-racist, the clear-cut message is the marginalized always get the short end of the stick. In other words, the marginalized always have to do a uphill climb to get to the level playing field that other people are already on. So imagine that's the reality for marginalized communities. And then on top of that, this student who's part of that marginalized community has an exceptionality as well. Then he or she has to deal with ableism. So now we got ableism and racism. And then what the marginalized person has an exceptionality, is a female, and is part of the marginalized community. Now there's three things. So that's why I glean from people like Tim Wise and Robin DiAngelo, those type of nuances. I've gone to 9 minutes. I hope you got something out of my presentation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for going through the slides with me. See you next time.